So once again, thank you for coming. When Emily asked me to conduct this ring ceremony, I must say that I felt very blessed and beyond honored to play such an important role in her wedding. Emily and I have always had a fun and loving relationship ever since she came into this world. Actually, many years ago and many weddings ago, Emily was actually at my wedding, and I have this wonderful photo that I cherish that is Emily at my wedding, and I'm just so honored and pleased to be part of this day for her. I do not need to tell this to Emily or those who know me, but I am a sucker for a good love story. One of my favorite love stories is the movie Return to Me. If you've never seen this movie, you should definitely check it out. I love this movie because it emphasizes finding love and hope even when facing hardships in our lives. That love and hope can conquer all. But I'm not here to talk about movies. However, I do want to talk about another one of my favorite love stories. This is a beautiful love story of Jacob and Rachel found in the Bible. When Jacob first sees Rachel, he cries with tears of joy and immediately kisses her, which at the time was not something you would do. It appears that this is love at first sight, but is it? Well, maybe. But this is not why I love this story. I love it because of what happens next. The first thing he does for Rachel is to serve her. He uncovers a large stone that's covering a water well and waters her flock of sheep. This is followed up with many years of service for Rachel. During biblical times, when a man wanted to take a woman in marriage, the groom's father would use something what's called a dowry. This dowry means that the father would give something of great value in exchange for the bride's hand in marriage to his son. However, Jacob didn't have a dowry to give. So he vowed with Rachel's father to serve him and his family for 7 years of physical labor. This crazy thing about this story is that Rachel's father tricks Jacob, and Jacob ends up serving Rachel's father for another 7 years. So Jacob served for 14 years because of the love and devotion he had for Rachel. This love story is truly remarkable. And this is because how Jacob shows his devotion through amazing acts of service. I love this quote from Dieter F. Uchtdorf, which says, quote, "As we lose ourselves in service of others, we discover our own lives and our own happiness," end quote. Always strive to serve each other, and I promise you will find joy, love, and purpose in your marriage. I love weddings, and I'm so happy to be part of Emily and Cooper's special day. The reason I love weddings so much is because they are filled with happiness and joy. And isn't that the true purpose of life? The scriptures say men and women are that they might have joy. Notice how that scripture says they might have joy. This is because creating and finding real joy takes work. Just like preparing for this wedding, it took countless hours in preparation. And as the old adage goes, anything worth doing is worth doing well. I truly hope both of you find joy and happiness today and throughout your marriage. So is there a difference between happiness and joy? Many great leaders and famous people throughout time have pondered this, the pursuit of happiness. The Oxford Dictionary states happiness as a feeling of showing pleasure or contentment. However, the word joy states a feeling of great pleasure and happiness. Both definitions include pleasure, but joy includes great pleasure and happiness. Pleasure comes and goes. It peaks during various times in our lives. As an example, for the first time you go to Disneyland, you might find great pleasure or happiness in that visit. However, repeated visits to Disneyland may never compare to your first visit and will slowly degrade over time. And so many in the world will continue to one-up their happiness with more and more of something, whether it be more money or more cars or more clothing. But this is just temporary bursts of pleasure or happiness. Real true happiness comes from joy. Joy may never surpass your peak event of pleasure, but the difference is that joy is lasting. It stays with you forever. You can recall joy, but you cannot recall pleasure. Joy is something you could build upon as its happiness grows in strength as you nourish it. Joy is not selfish. It's best found when serving others. Just as mothers find great joy in their children because mothers spend many years serving their children, today you both can find joy and happiness. But it can only be joyful if it is built upon something. As for me, this is a joyful day because it continues to build upon the joy that I find in creating strong bonds with family. This is true joy. It can be joyful for you as well as you begin a new journey to grow the relationship you two have already begun. But today, you solidify this relationship with a promise or covenant with each other. Sorry, getting a little windy here. Joy is the key to everlasting happiness. Hint, joy is service. I want to take a few minutes to talk about the character of a person. Many years ago, when I asked for my wife's hand in marriage, my soon-to-be father-in-law looked into my eyes like he was looking deep into my soul and asked me, what kind of man would I be? He spoke of character and what my character would be like. He told me, someday when I leave this life, how would people talk about me? What kind of things would they say about me? Would they say I was a man of honor, honesty, and integrity? And as I was preparing for this ring ceremony, I was pondering on many fun stories that I might share. I actually found one that was perfect because it's a story about Cooper. So one day, while Cooper was hanging out at the Flagar home, Emily's father, Joey, and Cooper were watching some TV together. As the next show began, Joey explained he didn't want to watch the show and he was going to do some work in the garage. Cooper explained he didn't want to watch the show either, so he went in the garage with Joey. As Joey finished fiddling in the garage, Joey decided to go outside and do some yard work in 40-degree weather. So Cooper decided to follow Joey outside. In fact, for several hours, everywhere Joey went, Cooper followed. Finally, out of the blue, Cooper takes out a ring box and opens it and says, I want to marry Emily. Do I have your permission? For a second there, Joey thought that Cooper was asking Joey for his hand in marriage. It turns out that Cooper was building up his courage throughout the day about asking for Emily's hand in marriage. That's why he followed Joey around everywhere. Of course, we know what Joey's answer was, but I absolutely love that Cooper did something that was hard and uncomfortable, but it was the right thing to do. And that's just the thing. Doing what's right is usually hard, but it's worth it. My question to you is, what type of couple will you be? To answer this question, might I suggest a story you've possibly heard before? One day, an old man's wife, who had long, beautiful hair, asked her husband to buy her a comb for her hair to grow well and her hair to be well groomed. This old man felt very sorry and said no. He explained that he did not even have enough money to fix the strap on his watch he had broken. So she did not insist on her request. When the man went to work the next day, he passed by a watch shop, sold his damaged watch for a very low price, and took that money to buy a comb for his wife. He came home that evening with the comb in his hand ready to give to his wife. He was astonished when he discovered that his wife had cut her long, beautiful hair to a very short length. She had sold her hair and was holding a brand new watch band. Tears flowed simultaneously from their eyes, not for the futility of their actions, but for the love that they share for each other. I think the answer found in this story is service. When both serve each other, both are uplifted and gratified. In those 25 years since my father-in-law asked me about my character, I have often pondered what my character has become. So I'd like to take a moment and talk about these two characters that are standing before us. Emily, ever since you came into my life...
Don't do that.
Sorry. You are always full of love and positivity. You make everyone around you better. Your smile brightens all of those around you. You're always loving and kind to others. And if that's not all, you're ridiculously brilliant. And I'm so very, very proud of the young woman you have become. And any man would be extremely blessed to have you. Last March, I got to spend some time with Cooper during a family vacation to Seattle. Our family had such a great time, but this time gave me an opportunity to spy on this Cooper dude. Cooper, during my visit to Seattle, I noticed a few things about you. You always treat everyone with respect, especially Emily. You've always been kind and courteous. You're smart. Maybe not as smart as Emily, but you're one smart dude. Best of all, I could see how you love and adore Emily, how you make her happy and laugh, and how you look at her and how she looks back at you. My brother and I always used to give all of Emily's boyfriends a hard time. And it's because we always agreed that whoever Emily chose to marry, that man had to be the best man he could be, because Emily is worth it. And I believe you are the right guy. You are exactly the right man for Emily, because you too are worth it. Might I give you my last piece of advice? Never stop learning each other. You both will change and evolve over the period of your marriage. If you continue to learn who Emily and Cooper is, just like when you first started to date, your love for each other will continue to grow and strengthen. You both are so very blessed to have each other. Come on. Emily and Cooper will now exchange rings. I have them. Cooper, place Emily's ring on her finger. Cooper, repeat after me. Emily, I offer you this ring.
Emily, I offer you this ring.
As a daily reminder.
As a daily reminder.
Of my love and devotion to us.
Of my love and devotion to us.
Please wear it as a symbol.
Please wear it as a symbol.
Of my honor.
Of my honor.
And commitment to you.
And commitment to you.
Emily, place Cooper's ring on his finger. Emily, repeat after me. Cooper, I offer you this ring.
Cooper, I offer you this ring.
As a daily reminder.
As a daily reminder.
Of my love and devotion to us.
Of my love and devotion to us.
Please wear it as a symbol.
Please wear it as a symbol.
Of my honor.
As my honor.
And commitment to you.
And commitment to you.
Cooper, you may kiss the bride. It is with great joy that I now present to you Mr. and Mrs. Stewart.